Hello, vinyl community. We are back and we are going to talk about spooky album covers today. Get in the spirit of Halloween. Halloween's one of my absolute favorite holidays. I like the fact that you can be whoever you want to be and kind of do whatever you want to do. It's a kid holiday, but it's also for adults. So with that, we have 13 unlucky scary albums to show you. We're going to start with the first one, Dust. This is a hard rock album from 1971 on the Kama Sutra label. And as you can see, we have, it looks like catacombs or tombs. We've got basically people who are mummified back here. Dust was a power trio, New York area, and their claim to fame, they had two albums. This is their first one. Their claim to fame is Mark Bell, right there, went on to be Marky Ramone with the Ramones. So he became the drummer for the Ramones. And their second album, Heart Attack, is also an amazing one. This one, in my opinion, is the go-to, or if you're gonna just get one, I would go with this guy right here. Has like early heavy metal vibes, but mostly hard rock. So that's number one, Dust. Number two, Warlock. So we've got an ultra menacing cover here, and this is a really strange album that we don't know a whole lot about. So we know that the band was from Detroit. They only made one album, this dark, dreary thing they've got going on here. And this is a strange album genre-wise too, because it has psych elements, it has funk elements, it has soul elements, it has like a little bit of jazz tinge to it. So, but they have really a menacing vibe about them and a mysterious vibe too, which kind of adds to the allure of it. It's this album is from 1972, and it's on the Music Merchant label, which was a subsidiary of Buddha. It's the only album that I own that's on that. But if you see this, I would pick it up because it's somewhat rare and it's fun. So we're gonna move on to some thrash metal from 1986. Megadeth, Peace sells, but who's buying? So that's an extremely ominous cover. This is their second album from 1986. Frontman Dave Mustaine. His band, deeper, darker, heavier than Metallica. And I think he was a little too heavy, a little too gritty, too raw for Metallica was one of the reasons he was let go. But this is, like I mentioned, their second album. They had many more to come, but the cover on this one is definitely fitting in the theme of Halloween. Dark, spooky, ominous, and very hellish landscape there as well. This is on EMI Records with Combat still being part of it. So it's not specifically Combat, but it's Combat and Capitol Records combined. So on to another heavy metal thrash band, Saint. And this one, I had listened to this album quite a few times and hadn't picked up the fact that this is actually heavy metal Christian music. You can kind of see there's a cross there on the T. But this is about the end of times. So times end, and you have some kind of crazy beasts with several heads coming out of the sea that look like they mean business. And this is a really fun album. This one's from 1985. It's on Pure Metal Records. This is their second album, but it's extremely heavy, extremely fast, and like I said, it buffaloed me. I didn't know that it was Christian rock. Another fun thing is that they're from Salem, Oregon, so they're from the Salem on the West Coast. So also a very fun thrash album. Definitely check it out if you get the chance. We're moving on to Dio. Ronnie James Dio and his band Lock Up the Wolves. This is their album from 1990 on Reprise Records. It's from it's a fifth album, and Dio is originally a group from New York, but Ronnie got his start with the group Elf, and then he was also in Black Sabbath for a while as well. But this is his own band, and I love the cover on this one. He's got the wolves that clearly need to be locked up there, but they mean business, no question about it. So awesome Dio album. Definitely check it out if you get the opportunity. And now we are going to take a drastic turn here. We're going to Dr. John's first self-titled album. It's Dr. John the Night Tripper Gree Gree. So this is from 1968. It's on Atco Records. This is his first album, and it is the most spooky, ominous album that he put out, in my opinion. And it has it's called Bayou Funk or Bayou Soul, and it has a flavor all of its own, and you can tell that he's from New Orleans because all of his song titles, Gree Gree, Gumbo, Ya Ya, Mama Roo, it's all speaks of French descent and New Orleans and in Bayou flavor. So awesome album, definitely worth listening to, definitely worth purchasing if you come across it. This one is Message from Books and Dreams. So this is krautrock from 1973, and they're from Germany, and this is on the Belafon Bacillus Records label. And this is kind of a departure from some of the other stuff I've been showing, but I feel like the cover definitely fits the vibe. We've got a skull with a snake going through the eye socket and where the nose should be. And this is a highly sought after album. It's absolutely amazing. It's not heavy prog. I would say it's a little bit more on the krautrock side. So it's very palatable and easy to listen to if you are just trying to dip your toes in the prog water. So I'm gonna jump way ahead. We've got the Flaming Lips first EP. This is actually a repress. It originally came out in 1985, but this is the repress from '87, which actually has a creepier cover, in my opinion, than the '85 original. But this is a combination of garage rock, psych rock. It's not what you'd expect if you're familiar with the modern day Flaming Lips and Wayne Coyne. These guys are from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and this is really psyche, really out there, and not really like what they have put out recently. So it's fun, but you definitely should buckle up because it might not be what you're expecting when you think Flaming Lips, but definitely worth checking out. Back in time, back to 1975. We've got Cain, A Pound of Flesh. Very disgusting cover here with, I'm hoping those aren't animal intestines coming out of the can. But this was a hard rock group from 1975, and they're from St. Paul. They had 2 albums. This is their first one, highly sought after, amazing hard rock album. They didn't really ever blow up, but they were big in the Midwest. They played lots of shows in Minneapolis and Minnesota and also Wisconsin. And they are on the Minneapolis label here, ASI Records, which is an awesome label. There's tons of really good hard rock albums off of the ASI Records, and they have some really amazing jazz fusion and avant-garde albums as well. So I usually, if I see the ASI Records, I usually just pick it up. So this one, I don't think this one's that streamable, but if you come across this one, it's amazing. You will not be disappointed. It screams of early 70s hard rock, even though it's mid 70s. So, over the UK for a little Motorhead. Lemmy and Crew, we got Orgasmatron here. This is apparently a freight train from hell, so which is indicative of everything Motorhead. But this one came out in 1986. It's on the GWR Records label. It's the 8th studio album. And fun fact about Lemmy, before he started Motorhead, he was also in a couple of other bands. He was the lead singer for the space rock albums that we know and love. And he was also in a band where he had one album. It was called Sam Gopal. But this is your typical Motorhead flavor. It's hard, heavy, fast, and it's a lot of fun. So now we're moving on to one of my favorite thrash metal bands, Overkill. We're jumping all the way over to New Jersey in 1985. This is their first album, Feel the Fire. These guys were from, like I said, they were from Old Bridge Township, New Jersey. And interesting fact about these fine young gentlemen, they took their name, Overkill, from Motorhead. So they got a connection to Motorhead from Motorhead's 1979 album. But Overkill's kind of, I think they're in a league of their own. They're in a thrash metal pantheon all of their own. But I love Overkill. There may be a bit of an acquired taste, but I can't get enough of them, and I love all their albums. So I would check it out if you get the chance. First album, Feel the Fire, on this is Megaforce Records, which Metallica's first 2 albums were on as well. So now we're going to Slayer, Rain in Blood. So Slayer's thrash metal band from Huntington Park, California. This album came out in 1986. This is their first album on Def Jam Records. It was also produced by Rick Rubin, but Slayer is one of the darkest, heaviest, fastest of the thrash metal originators. And I mean, you can look at the titles of their songs: Angel of Death, Piece by Piece, Necrophobic, Altar of Sacrifice, and then they've got Raining Blood, as in blood coming down. And then these tough guys are drinking Stella Artois too, which is kind of funny. But awesome album, considered one of their best. I would definitely stream it if you get the opportunity. It's fantastic. Lucky number 13, I had to include Danzig. Danzig is one of my absolute favorite bands. They're from Lodi, New Jersey. This is their second album, called Lucifage. It's from 1990. It's on the Deaf American Records. Interesting fact about this one, Rick Rubin also produced this album as well. The first cover, or the first album, has a little creepier cover. The back here, I think, is pretty scary with Glenn there. But we all know Glenn is the front man from the Misfits, and he went on to Danzig, and yeah, this is one of my absolute favorite albums of theirs. It's amazing. Now we are gonna run into some quick runner-ups as long as we've got time, and I'm gonna do a part 2 as well because I've just got too many for one video. But I will show you Danzig's first album, which this one, the cover's a little bit more menacing, I think. This one's amazing. It's got the Mother on it, and then this one's also produced by Rick Rubin, and it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. Every track is amazing on it. This one came out in 1989, so just a year before Lucifage. Then I've got A Grail. I know Dylan showed this as well, so I'm running through some of these pretty quick. This is Trip Through Hell, CA Quintet. This one came out in 1969. It's on a private label, Candy Floss Records, and this is one of my favorite. It's a Minneapolis Grail, and they've got Trip Through Hell Part 1, which is 9 minutes, and then that's the first song on side 1, and then the last song to send you out on side 2 is Trip Through Hell Part 2. And they are ominous, menacing. It's devastating. It's almost hard to listen to at times because you can tell the people that were putting this together were clearly in a dark place. But this is considered a psych grail. It's absolutely astounding. You can stream it, and that's probably the best way to listen to it because trying to track down and purchase original is extremely costly. So Dylan also mentioned this one with Noble Records, but I also have to mention Coven. Witchcraft destroys minds and reaps souls. This one's from 1969 on Mercury Records. They're from Indianapolis, and it looks a bit hokey, but side B or side 2 is it's a ritual, and I thought, hey, like, okay, they're gonna perform an actual ritual, witchcraft ritual, and it's gonna be hokey, it's gonna be cheesy. No, they are dead serious. It is terrifying, and I usually avoid that side because it's too much. So I usually stick to the first side because I really gotta buckle up if I'm gonna flip the side and listen to it. So this one, we're gonna flip it on its ear and show you a little jazz. We've got Philly Joe Jones Sextet Blues for Dracula. This was on the Riverside label from 1958, and it's a fantastic jazz album, and it has really funny interludes in between with Philly Joe Jones doing his best impression of Bela Lugosi and talking about bats in the belfry and all these Halloween spooky things. But the music's fantastic, but you also have the hokey little fun interludes in between. So this is a fantastic jazz album and definitely hits all the right notes for Halloween. So that will do it for our spooky Halloween album covers for the first round here, but we will definitely get a second video out to you because I've got way too many for one video. So we'll see you next time. Thanks.